Primetime continues.
If there's a trend in the hiring of reporters these days, it's that if you need a sports reporter, you hire a former athlete. Science reporter, you hire an MD. Well, if that's the trend, our ABC affiliate in San Francisco, KGO Radio News, is way ahead of the curve. They've hired a very special person with an unusual kind of expertise to cover a beat that he knows better than any reporter around. But this new job was just another in a series of unexpected twists of fate for Harry Hook Swets. And as John Quinonnes reports, it's a twist that made Harry Swets a local hero.
And the KGO news time now is at 4:14.
When you're new on the streets, you're scared, you haven't made any friends, you're hungry, miserable.
The newest voice on the San Francisco airwaves belongs to this man, 49-year-old radio reporter Harry Swets. Hooks, as he's known, is a man on a mission to educate listeners on the plight of the Bay Area's 10,000 street people.
I've seen nights out here so cold that people with no blankets, all they could do was walk to stay warm. Walking was the only thing keeping them alive. Reporting on the homeless, I'm Hooks, KGO Radio News.
The KGO News Talk time is 1:19. I'm Brian Coach.
This is Harry's beat, the mean streets of the inner city, an area known as the Tenderloin. His riveting reports on the down and out have had an extraordinary impact on the Bay Area. Take the story of Roger Burton.
KGO's homeless reporter Harry Hooks Swets takes a look at life for one of those homeless vets.
I got about 6 months to live. I got severe bad heart.
Doctors have told Roger he'll be lucky to live another year and a half. He has a bad heart. His left leg is severed above the knee. Wounds, he says, are from Vietnam. Scar his chest, legs, and arms.
Roger, a homeless veteran, had been placed in this rundown hotel by the city of San Francisco.
For Roger, it's the hotel from hell. A plastic garbage bag is his only protection from the cold. Roger has no toilet in his room. The bathrooms down the hall aren't wheelchair accessible. During one visit, Roger had a bottle he was using to urinate sitting next to the bed. It was full. He had defecated in his pants. Roger was placed in this room by the city and county of San Francisco. You, the taxpayers, are picking up the tab. Reporting on the homeless, I'm Hooks, KGO Radio News.
This is Channel 7.
Harry's report caused an uproar.
The system has abandoned Roger Burton.
Within 24 hours, Roger Burton was moved to a new home.
The man is very, very nice. He's a very, very gentleman. Good people. He's very, very good people. And you don't find good people like that anymore in this world.
It's stories like Roger's that have made Harry a hero in the Tenderloin. It's a part of the city that was virtually ignored by the media until Harry Swets came along with his unique style of journalism. He not only reports on the homeless, he eats with them, sleeps with them, lives with them. Harry, you see, is homeless himself.
I am a bum. That makes me a homeless reporter. If I wasn't a bum, I wouldn't be able to report about this. I wouldn't be able to give you a picture of the people I'm representing unless I was a little bit like them.
Harry wasn't always a reporter, and he wasn't always homeless. He's a Marine Corps veteran, the divorced father of 4, who used to make a decent living as a hang gliding instructor. But in 1972, in an accident, he was electrocuted and lost both arms.
I flew my hang glider into a power line.
You thought you were dead?
Thought I was dead. It's just like in the movies. I've seen a bunch of zigzaggedy lines, great deal of pain. I went, Swets, you just killed yourself.
Somehow he survived. Harry settled in Northern California, where he lived off Social Security and odd jobs. But he says his life lacked a purpose. So 3 years ago, he moved to San Francisco.
Say, brother, you all right?
Where he volunteered to work for the homeless by becoming homeless himself.
At times, I have been in the same mental state they are. I have been as depressed. I have been as hungover, and I have been as drugged out. I had been in the same situation that if I hadn't had a family or a backup group, I'd be right out there with them with no recovery.
Why are you doing it?
Pay some dues, pay back for the people that helped me. The world's been good to me, with my handicap. So now that I'm together, now that I've got the time, I find myself enjoying going out and helping other people.
People on the street react to Harry. He's like the Pied Piper of the Tenderloin. I mean, he just draws them to him.
Ken Barry is Harry's producer at KGO. He says Hook's reputation as a pit bull advocate for the homeless helped him land the reporting job last December.
What kind of reporting can Harry do that perhaps you can't?
Well, I think Harry contributes two things. He contributes ideas and access.
How you been?
You go outside and walk down the street with Harry, and it's, hey, Hooks. Hi, Hooks. How you doing, Hooks? Hey, Hooks, let me tell you something. I could walk the streets for days and weeks and never get the quality of interviews he can get.
He's learned the business of broadcasting thanks to some special equipment for his handicap and a crash course in announcing.
Take 5. Finally, Roger became so sick. I'm going to start over again.
It's a struggle, but his producer says Hooks is a natural for journalism.
He brings a lot of good, sound journalistic ideas, although I don't know that he knows they're sound journalistic ideas. It's just his observations and his skill as an observer. He's a good observer of society, and those skills translate very well into radio reporting.
For example, there was the time Harry called the radio station on the coldest night in San Francisco. He couldn't sleep.
Harry called me in the newsroom, and he said, Ken, it's cold out here. It's really cold out here. We have to do something. People are dying. And I said, well, Harry, what do you want us to do? I mean, it's 12:30 in the morning. There's not much I can do.
For almost an hour, Harry badgered Ken to put him on the air.
And he said, Ken, I'm telling you, people are dying out there. Put me on the air.
Hi, Hooks. How are you? How are things out there?
Hey, Brian, we're still cold as hell out here. All the shelters are full tonight, and all of them are turning people away. We've counted over 100 people right now without a blanket.
100 people, and it's 39 degrees outside.
We have people staying out in the middle of the street with nothing, with absolutely nothing except their shirts. I mean, you come down here and look, it makes you cry.
It was the most amazing thing you've ever seen. People drove up in Mercedes and Cadillacs in the dead of night on just an absolutely freezing cold evening and dropped off coats and blankets and sleeping bags.
The audience has been great. I mean, they performed last night, and we saved some lives. I mean, there's people out there that would have been dead this morning if it hadn't been for all the blankets and clothes that we received last night.
Hey, Ben, how's KGO, man?
Despite all the attention, despite the new job, Harry still lives out of a backpack. The money he earns as a freelance reporter during busy periods up to $800 a week pays for his youngest daughter's apartment. Harry prefers to sleep on the street with the people he calls his family.
I would definitely like people to understand that 25% of the homeless hold down regular jobs. I mean, they go to work from 8 to 5 just like the rest of us, come back and sleep in a park in a sleeping bag. 25% are mentally handicapped. These are 8-year-old children running around in 40-year-old bodies. You can't expect them to help themselves.
It's raining and we're alive. That means something, don't it?
Right. If you've got something you can't handle, you can always look me up or something, and I'll try and cover you. Hey, and I got an extra $1 too.
It's not unusual to see Harry offering his interview subjects money or food.
Dorothy, here you go.
More traditional reporters might argue that handouts pose a conflict of interest.
You bring some of these people food. You find them a bed for the night. It goes beyond the limits of just reporting.
When I do a report on somebody that's hungry, I give them some money. I'm not going to turn that camera off or the radio off and leave that hungry person there and tell them, hey, thank you. It was great to hear how hungry you were. I couldn't walk away without giving the guy a $5 bill or a $10 bill. Let him go eat. You know, he talked about how hungry he was for me. I certainly don't think it's unethical to give him some money to eat on.
Harry Swets, known as Hooks, here in the studio with us.
Not all of KGO's listeners have warmly welcomed KGO's innovative move in hiring Harry. Many callers have criticized KGO, saying the job should go to an unemployed journalist.
It doesn't seem to me right.
John McConnell is the news director who hired Hooks.
Some of your callers, I understand, to the station have criticized your move, saying he's just a bum, get a real reporter out there.
Harry's no bum. Harry's no bum. Harry's got a bigger heart, and has more feeling for the human condition than a lot of us. As for having a real reporter do it, don't have the same access, don't have the same ability to get the story that Harry does.
But sometimes the dual roles, reporter and activist, can be too much.
I cry a lot. I can't think of a day that I don't cry. I'm going to give you an example. I see this man laying on the side of the street. So I go, wow. So I go shake him, and I'm tapping him on the leg. He hasn't got any legs. The man gets up. He hasn't got any hands. And I looked at this and went, God, I mean, how heavy can this day get? But we can only stay hidden for so long. I mean, if a lot of us don't go back in and help with this homeless situation, which is becoming greater, we're not going to solve the problem.
And so, on any given night, you'll find Harry stalking the Tenderloin for a story and a cause. Back on the air, a voice for those who have none.
So are you going to be all right tonight?
Of course.
I mean, so you're covered.
Well, I'm not covered, but I know I'm going to make it because I got God on my side and I got you on my side.
KGO Radio News is not the only organization to recognize the special abilities of Harry Hook Swets. The California Associated Press recently awarded him their top prize for Best Feature Story. It went to Harry for his first story ever at KGO. The subject, homeless children.
In a moment, trading cards. In the olden days, just your favorite sports heroes.
There you go. Appreciate it.
Today, it's out of control. When prime time continues.